What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, back at it again with another episode of Future Financial Strategies. It's the monthly recap for the financial metrics for the month of June. Now, are they great? Yes and no. Did we take some hits? Absolutely. We are heavily tied in to the crypto/Bitcoin market. Therefore, whenever Bitcoin goes down, 90% of my portfolios, I'd say 90% of my portfolios go down. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. It's part of being on the bleeding edge of technology. It's part of being on the bleeding edge of the markets being where the ball is going. There's going to be some dramatic volatility there, and we get to track and document that as we go forward through this process, the road to $1 million. That said, got to give a shout out to the sponsor of the show, Delta Investment Tracker app. It's a wonderful app. If you're not using it, you definitely should give it a look. There's a link down in the description in regards to letting them know that you found it by way of your boy, Reckless Ray Dinero. Also, we want to give a shout out to Circa 84. Also a referral link for that down in the description. I am the crypto czar over there. We're talking about a bunch of stuff over in that Discord. It is a private Discord server. We have lots of in-depth, into the weeds conversations over there in regards to finance, investment, strategy, all those things. So tap in with us over at Circa 84 as well. Now let's jump into it. These episodes are pretty simple and straightforward. First metric we're going to talk about is the savings percentage. One of the reasons I track this is I like to know, based on all the income that is coming in from all the income sources, income streams, what have you, how much of that is getting reinvested, how much of it is getting saved. Now, I use saving loosely. I do not save in a traditional sense as though it goes into a pool of cash that just sits in the bank, making the bank money. We are redeploying to make ourselves money over here in the Wolf Pack. So with that, our savings rate for the month of June was 50.96% in the money range. That is a beautiful range. That is the target that I have. I like to gamify it a little bit. I like to beat it if possible. But my target is 45 to 50% of all income coming in. Now, that said, I do look at that in the sense of, as I am purchasing and generating more income via my investments, we have not necessarily gotten to a position, considering we're not fully functional walking yet, to add more sweat equity in. So like, I am being forced to utilize my mind as opposed to just going and getting an additional job, picking up some, gig work to help accelerate this along. I'm having to use the skills that we advocate for and talk about over in Future Financial Strategies, which is great because it's forcing me to prove that these strategies work. But yeah, I'm just not in a position to pick up any more hours on what I'm doing. I can have enough energy to go to work. I have enough mobility to go to work. And at present, that's about it. I can't do too much of anything else. The total amount saved for that 50.96% is $2,283, which is cool. Really good to get to put a number to that as well. The savings part for me is becoming much easier, considering it's going into purchasing additional income, which produces additional cash flow, which allows me to live my life better. It just makes it's more efficient. Now, jumping into the next one we're going to have a conversation about is the net worth. Now, the net worth was taking a hit. Now, our target goal for this year was to hit $250,000, and we were right there. Like, if the market wouldn't have taken the dump that it took this month, we would have hit it, and it would have been nice to be like, yeah, I hit it in 6 months. we hit the target already. Like now we're off to the races. But also one of the issues is the volatility of the cryptocurrency market, which is the market that I have chosen to be in. That is my area of expertise. That's what I hyper focused on, hyper specialized in. It's my thesis. So all my portfolios match that thesis. So when Bitcoin took a dump in June, all my portfolios took a dump in June. Now, most of the majority of my portfolio is the income portfolio, which has its ebbs and flows also, but the positions that I've taken are Bitcoin related for the most part. So those definitely took some big hits. The majority of the income that I have producing in all portfolios took some big hits, just as what it is. Our Nvidia play also took a hit, so it wasn't just crypto. It's the market at large, but there were corrections, and you got to roll with those. So the net worth is down. And this is full disclosure: $34,731.06. Now, the reason I tell people you might want to ease into Bitcoin is because a lot of people can't look at that number and be okay. They don't like seeing red to begin with, and then to see big numbers ebb and flow like that. Now, the plus side is me being able to handle that number going down, my net worth taking a hit like that. When it goes up, those exponential numbers, that's how you get that. You've got to be willing to take the hit in the short term for the win in the long term. And so that's the way that I'm looking at it from that perspective. But it's 100% related to the fact that everything that I do is hyper focused. I'm not big on diversification. I don't know many people who credit diversification to why they're wealthy or rich or well off. It's normally somebody who hyper focused in on something, and that thing that they hyper focused in on played out. So I am very thesis driven in all of my portfolios. So when Bitcoin takes a hit, again, it's a hit across the board. And I'm used to I've seen worse than this. I have seen numbers worse than this. So I've actually lost more than this, being on the wrong side of a trade. So that, from a net worth perspective, I know that as we get into crypto summer, those numbers are going to change. It'll correct itself, and we are going to hit those goals, because I set that goal out, and it was actually, I realized after I set that goal for myself for the net worth of $250,000 this year, it was I shot low. So I'm fully expecting to surpass that. We're obviously steamrolling on that debt, so that way we can free up some additional cash flow. I just don't want to be in the peak bull run having to worry about paying back anything. Also, with the market and the economy the way that it is, I want as few liabilities as possible. And I said this going into this year, I was like, we're getting rid of the debt early. And so we are doing that. The tool that we are using is Velocity Banking. We've been testing it out so far. I'm liking it. I've seen a couple of tweaks that I can use to help supercharge some of the stuff that we're already doing that we have in place. So we're going to be mixing in the Velocity Banking with the Wolfpack's version of in-home banking. I'm going to do a video breaking that down as well. And yeah, you don't win every month. That's the moral of the story, is you don't win every month. And if you're involved in investing and you're actually swinging for the fences, you're going to take some hits. Things that I see that are going for me, we're still hitting within that 40 to 50% savings range. All great. We're still putting away good chunks of change every month. Like, obviously, all the rest of the gurus make over 6 figures. A lot of the gurus make a lot of their money from YouTube. I am in neither of those camps. This is real financial numbers for somebody who's not making 6 figures a month. So, or 6 figures a year, even. we're working towards it. We're definitely stair stepping now that we're building the income streams. We're kind of chunking towards it. We're chugging along. I think I'm going to be, if not this year, definitely next year, at a point to where I will likely not be getting a tax return, abutting owing every year, which is going to be weird, but building up that cash flow, it's in the way that I'm doing it. That's just going to be par for the course. It's still going to be less than me making that same amount of money going to work or through physical labor or being a W-2. So I'm fine. I'm fine with that trade-off. Got to pay to play. And unfortunately, when you're generating income at these levels, that's one of the things. Like, could I go start a business and take the risk on that? Absolutely. But that's a pretty big risk. And while obviously investing is a risk as well, in my opinion, for me, it is a slower risk managing a portfolio, because technically speaking, the less I have to leave my house, the less I have to do anything besides wants to do's, the less expenses I have, to be honest. So that's the way I look at that. Now, the other interesting thing on the positive note, I like to end these on a positive note. The credit score, we're back up above 750. We're sitting at 770, and that's a 41% or 41 point jump from last month, where we were sitting at 729 when I originally enacted I started making some moves with the finances, and we utilized some credit. And when you utilize your credit, it goes down. And so as it went down, we started the velocity banking. We got overcharged a little bit on some of the surgery funds, and then we got a refund on the surgery funds. So we as we went through that process, when we got that refund back, because we were a little bit over that, plus the velocity banking, we paid off one of the cards. That kicked us back up, and it's a gamified system. Like, if you're not using your credit, then your credit stays at the same number. If you are actively utilizing it, and obviously I'm not saying utilize it to buy cars, I'm not saying utilize it to buy Gucci belts, I'm not saying utilize it to buy things to impress people that are not caring or interested or have your best interest at heart, or even like you, most likely. What we're utilizing the credit for is to buy cash flow, to buy assets. We are utilizing cash advance off credit cards to do this. We are utilizing basically anything that we have access to that's free cash flow, cheap money, that we can, in theory, either cash flow it back and have a cash flowing asset, or beat it in the market. The other thing that I always tell people is, when doing these moves, it is not that much of a risk for me, because I am actively paying back the debt. I'm not using, but the fallback is the underlying asset to pay back the debt. So at any given point, when we're talking about using credit to buy cash flow, I am using extremely cheap money. It's 4.5% flat for me to cash advance myself money, so long as I pay it back within the window. Now, that's where the financial discipline comes in, because we do pay back within the windows. We pay back ahead of the windows, as I've previously shown with the last $8,000 cash advance that we originally did off of our Discover card that we were testing. I will be doing breakdowns on the cards that I use for this process and why I use those cards, the benefits of doing this with those cards. But yeah, so as you're paying stuff back, the number bounces back up. Obviously, using the velocity banking method, we are chunking back at this debt. It is very focused now. It's not distributed amongst all the cards. We are just focusing down one card at a time, which is weirdly counterintuitive for some reason, because you think you're going to manage all of them, and then you got money going over here, money going over there. There's no focus. And one of the things that I do like about the velocity banking and incorporating it into my financial strategy the way that I have is that it's allowing focus. It's also allowing me to channel some additional income into growth, because instead of doing the velocity banking and paying everything off, like we're paying off a card, we're taking a breather, we're focusing on buying income in that gap, then we're moving on to the next card. So we're actually building the income as we go. Reason being is, as soon as we get all these cards paid off, we're definitely going to be doing 12 months of velocity banking where the debt tool's going to be the income account. And I think that's going to be interesting, because that account right now has, and honestly, if I can move the debt tool from the margin on the account to just the cash flow on the account, that's going to be super interesting too. Because if I can get to a point to where I can pay most of my bills off of just what's being generated, if I can cover all of my expenses off of just what's being generated out of that monthly income, then all the money can just flow in to building the monthly income. So then all you have to do is keep your expenses low. You keep driving your income higher, and you can just do that. You could just live out of your brokerage account. You could just live off your passive income, which is one of the goals. I mean, definitely it'll be an accomplishment and definitely a flex to do that in America. But like, I know I can do it if I'm managing that account here, and I can live somewhere else. I don't have to be here full time. And that's kind of what the end goal is to not have to be in the US full time, be able to go, 4 to 6 months out of the year and be gone, and maybe get something set up to where I've got a room here where I can come and go as I please, but also have a place set up somewhere else, similar scenario, to where I can come and go as I please. Because I don't like being confined. We'll get ourselves a second passport, and keep it moving, because the goal is to have the ability to move and navigate as you see fit. And one of those things that is important, and while you're building up to that point, and I think it's one of the reasons that most people never make it to that point, is people get diehard set on doing things the way that one guru told them, or one guru taught them, and they don't experiment with anything else after that. They go, I'm just going to do this. And the issue is, especially if these gurus are selling you a platform, a coaching sessions to get told basic information, they're selling you a product, is they need you to need them, which means that if you achieve the goal, they are no longer necessary. Most people don't teach for you to evolve past them, or to evolve out of what they're selling you. They want you to stay in that ecosystem forever. And a lot of times there's little hindrances to where you will never break out of the financial matrix. You will never break out of the rat race if you just use one strategy. That doesn't mean that the one strategy doesn't work, but you should have a full tool belt of tools. You should use all of them and see what actually works for your mix, because different people need different mixes of tools. Not everything that I teach over here, or that I'm showing you over here, that we're experimenting with my finances, with my money, is going to work for every single person, which is why I cycle through so many different tools. And I kind of touch on a lot of different stuff that we hear about out here, because I'm actively out here searching and learning as well. And it's the reason that when I find stuff that works, I'll reference and have those conversations. It's the reason that I've really kicked up my comment game on other people's videos, to kind of get these conversations started. Like, you don't just get to sit out here and say stuff like you're a guru and walk away. Like, I'm going to challenge. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to exist in this space and facilitate those conversations to at least find even if the content creators themselves don't want to engage in the conversation, at least to find the people that are over there that are actually thinking, that are actually, because like those are the people that should be in the wolf pack. People that are actively thinking, that are actively doing everything they possibly can, not going, hey, this person told me this and that's just what I'm going to stick with, even though we're not tracking the results. I don't know my net worth, but cash is king. Okay, I've been doing the Ramsey plan for 20 years. Like, are you rich yet? Well, if you've been doing it for 20 years, if you've been doing anything for 20 years and you're not yielding some noticeable results, then it might not work. It might not be as effective as you think, or it could be effective and you just need a couple of more tools to supercharge what you're doing, and then you can get to the goals that you want faster. Because most of these gurus are trying to coach you into working until you're 65 and then retiring, which is what the financial matrix wants from you. They want your body, they want your time, they want your energy until you're 65, 70 and burn out. And then you get to go live for a couple of years doing what you wanted with whatever you saved up. Hopefully you save something, and then you die. And we're not doing that. Time is short. You don't have as much time as you think you do. It's important to be focused, driven, and acting. It's important to test things. It's important to figure out what works for the situation that you're in. Now, we're starting to see some stuff pick up for me in my situation. A lot of stuff, like a lot of pieces are starting to come together. But like, what are the costs? High volatility. There's a lot more implied risk. I don't think long-term risk is involved. I think because it's a new budding market and we are still, yes, that is correct. If you're getting into Bitcoin right now, you are still early. There's a lot of volatility on the way to where it's going to be standard. Because when Bitcoin is over 6 figures, potentially touching 7 figures, $500,000, $100,000, $250,000, there's going to be less volatility. There's also going to be less opportunity, which is why we're implementing these standards and these protocols and getting position now. It's the reason we're buying Bitcoin, getting this cash flow set up to protect having to sell off the Bitcoin as desperately and as manically as I possibly can, because there isn't a lot of time. There isn't a lot of time for these opportunities. And so you got to be locked in. But that's the financials for this month. I mean, it's a good and bad. Like now, when the months where the net worth goes up, that's pretty much going to signify the good months for me, because since we're abutting that $250,000 range, like that's a key metric for me personally on this journey. It's a quarter of the way to being getting into the Millionaires Club as we're growing this. So as we're moving forward, like once we get that milestone, then it's on to the next one, which is $500,000, obviously. And that's going to be the next target. And then it's going to be, okay, how quick can we get there? Like, what's that going to look like? And we're going to have to re-strategize and reposition ourselves and see what we're going to want to do with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm very satisfied with the numbers this month. Like hitting the 50% mark is really good. The credit bouncing back up obviously is really good, because like that's loading the holster for the next credit play. We're going to keep paying down, and then we'll get to the next play, and then we're going to enact that play, and we're going to keep it pushing. But yeah, we're going to close it out on that note. Hope you guys saw some value. Definitely, if you saw value in this, let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments below. This isn't a single-sided conversation. I love engaging with the people who are tapped in with the content. We're noticing the content numbers the subscriber count's going up. I appreciate you guys. I've got some things planned for when we hit $500. I definitely want to do some giveaway type stuff. I want to contribute back to the community that we're building over here, the Wolf Pack. And yeah, That's kind of what I'm thinking. We're going to do something. We're going to do a few things actually, because when we hit 500, we've got a few different shows. I'm going to do something special for each show. We're getting ready to start. We're getting ready to bring back Guns and Butter. So be keeping an eye out for that, because we're coming back hard. We're coming back heavy. As you can see, we've got a new vantage point. We've got new screen angles. We've got a bunch of new stuff going on. And yeah, we're getting ready to jump back into it with the live stream, so that we can have the conversation live, so that we can answer questions live. I feel like I've got enough content out now. We're almost at 400. I've almost got my watch time up enough to where when we hit 500, we can flip that switch and kick it on over and see what we can do in regards to getting a little monetization on the channel. It's a slow crawl. I understand the content that we do over here is very heady, and it's not a lot of hype. It's not a lot of tapping your emotions. It's very factual, very much the truth. You're just watching somebody experiment with their own money and then seeing if you can apply it to your lives. So we're going to close out on that note. Until next week, it's been another episode of Future Financial Strategies. If you liked it, definitely hit the like button. Definitely drop me a comment down in the comments. Like I said, we have the conversations down in the comments. We have some good conversations. Chat lives matter. Reply gang, shout out to you guys. And share this. Share the content. If it's useful to you, if it's something that your favorite guru hasn't told you yet, something a little bit different, give it a little spin. See if it supercharges what you've already got going. That doesn't mean stop doing what you're doing, that you're getting some results on. What we're trying to do is become more efficient over here in the Wolfpack. And there's more than a million ways to skin the financial cat. It's your boy, Reckless Ray De Niro. And until next time, peace.